Well, hello, my name is Richard Martin. I'm a surgical oncologist specialising in melanoma. My background training is a general surgeon, and I specialised in Australia at the Sydney Melanoma Unit to learn about melanoma. Okay, so New Zealanders are at particularly high risk of skin cancer, in particular melanoma. We have the highest rate of melanoma in the world, even more than Australia. If you're a New Zealand male, you have a 1 in 13 chance of getting melanoma in your lifetime. If you're a New Zealand female, you've got a 1 in 18 chance of getting melanoma in your lifetime. And what that correlates to is about 2,200 plus new melanomas a year, and about, unfortunately, 300 people die every year of melanoma. You don't want to see me, I'm the surgeon. The best way is to prevent melanoma or detect it early. And prevention is all about being sun smart, and we're all aware of that now. The New Zealand sun is so intense, it really is, it feels like the strongest in the world. And there's a number of reasons why we have such a high skin cancer rate, and that's to do with fair-skinned people living at these latitudes. And if we put the New Zealand country into the northern hemisphere latitudes, that corresponds to Portugal and Spain and North Africa, and you can imagine the darker skinned coloration in those countries. We have intermittent weather, and intermittent burning is particularly a high risk factor for melanoma. We have the ozone hole, which is slowly healing but is not going to be completely repaired until 2050. And also we don't have pollution, and pollution absorbs UV radiation. Therefore you put all those factors together and we have a recipe for skin cancer and melanoma. Melanoma is only the fourth most common malignancy in New Zealand, but it takes a heavy toll on New Zealanders because so many young people are getting melanoma and dying of melanoma. Therefore, there's productive years lost of a young generation of New Zealanders. The most common cancer in young men is melanoma, and in women between 15 and 19 is melanoma as well. So it's a very common disease early on. However, the highest risk is actually elderly men, and over the age of 60, that is the highest risk group in New Zealand. As we have the highest rate of melanoma in the world, we could really consider this our national cancer, and we need to get behind this as a country, as a government, and as individual people, because the best way to treat melanoma or to affect melanoma management is to catch it early. If melanoma is caught early, then it can be easily treated. More advanced melanoma is essentially a death sentence. So one of the factors for prognosis in melanoma is the depth of the melanoma, how deep it is. And less than a millimetre thick melanomas essentially are treated and you do okay. Once you get over a millimetre depth, all bets are off. And as they get thicker, the prognosis and the outlook is much, much worse. It's very difficult to say how quickly melanoma can progress, because some people might have a mole that's slowly changing, and others rapidly see something new appear, which then is diagnosed as an advanced melanoma. So any changing moles or any new lesions need to be checked out by a specialist. There's a lot of research in melanoma going on around the world, and we're trying to bring that to New Zealand, especially as we have the highest rate in the world. Therefore, we're trying to attract more research to New Zealand, and part of the Melanoma Foundation, one of the side arms, is a research centre, and we're certainly trying to bring and attract clinical trials into New Zealand. Please take the time to calculate your risk of melanoma using our risk calculator. This will give you and your professionals an idea of what the risk is of you having a melanoma in your lifetime. And there are high-risk people and low-risk people. So the classic melanoma person has red hair, blue eyes, freckles. That is a recipe for skin cancer in New Zealand. On the other end of the scale, dark skin, dark hair protects you to some degree, but anyone can get melanoma.